Hello, and welcome to our show, Crooked Doctors.
The doctors,
This is
William Doherty, Bill Doherty, and I'm here with Lydia Radin on her show.
if you'd like to give us a call, we're at 212-245-7273. That's 212-245-7273. Last week, you weren't here because I was on a road trip.
She was on a road trip.
So I pre-taped something in advance, and I'll play it again because we went to Washington, and I have film from Senator Grassley's office and Congressman Mica's office and our congressman. But what we're going to do today is a public service. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a public service today. So if you're out there in Queens or Manhattan, so if you're at Elmhurst Hospital or Queens, Elmhurst Hospital in Queens, or if you happen to be in Manhattan and you're by Mount Sinai Medical School, I'm going to do a public service today, and I'm going to show you how to protect yourself in 2 sentences. In 2 sentences, I'm going to show the viewing audience in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, how to protect themselves against dishonest Dr. Michelle Canale. Okay.
It's Medicaid fraud.
Medicaid fraud. Okay. Michelle S. Canale is a dishonest, crooked doctor that I am suing for defaming me. And one of the things that these are my medical. This is wholesale. These are not medical records. This is wholesale fraud. Your tax dollars in action, ladies and gentlemen.
Tax dollars at work, people.
Yep. This is what you're paying for, ladies and gentlemen. Page after page after page of fraud. Wouldn't you like to be a doctor, to go to your office, fill out a bunch of forms, and get paid money to defame an innocent victim?
It's nothing but lining your pockets.
Medicaid fraud. These are not bona fide medical records. This is wholesale
It's
fraud.
all bogus, all phony.
So Michelle S. Canale, I'm going to show you in 2 pages. I'm going to defend myself against this woman. Right here, Bill. See, I'm going to read this to you. Right here.
Yeah.
First of all, this woman claims that I'm her patient. I'm not. For new viewers, in case you're a new viewer who's tuning in, I've been persecuted by my medical school for going on 25 years.
25 years.
And succinctly, I was illegally expelled, and succinctly, this crooked doctor, Michelle S. Canale, and I'm going to show you when we get into this a little bit more, how to protect yourself against these crooked doctors with New York Doctor Profile. Michelle, I was illegally convicted, illegally incarcerated, and then they wanted me to shut up so badly.
Put a gag on her, a gag order on her.
They're not going to gag me. They're not going to get me to shut up.
They're not going to gag her.
As I was leaving Rikers Island, I'm appealing my criminal conviction. As I'm leaving Rikers Island, they wholesale made up, fabricated a reason for me to talk to Michelle S. Canale, dishonest, crooked doctor at Elmhurst Hospital. And here's what she says. She says, and I'm going to be publishing this all over the place. I think I'll turn it into flyers and wallpaper Queens with it. And Mount Sinai. She says, Bill, I want you to read along here. She claims that I'm her patient. I'm not.
Yes,
and then she claims that, I'm going to read this. Hold on. Let me read this. Unbelievable. In 2 sentences, I'm going to clear my name. Patient during assessment. I'm not her patient, so she has no business to assess me.
Not a patient.
Is calm and cooperative, persuasive about being wrongfully accused. I was wrongfully accused. Presents with well-systemed delusion about being persecuted by medical school personnel.
Yep.
This woman, Michelle S. Canale, claims that I'm delusional, that a delusion is a false belief, because I think I'm being persecuted by medical school personnel. Now, I provided this dishonest, crooked doctor with, guess what? And I'm going to show this to you, Bill.
True.
And anybody else who wants to confirm this, I showed her this. This is a page out of the Marlene Abramova case
Right.
in 2006. And I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to show our viewing audience. Can you read that for us? What
Sure,
that's
I can. Which one? I made.
In
up there.
fact.
In fact, Dr.
Wait. Read it slowly and loudly.
I got it. In fact, Dr. Olson's anatomy course is the only class Miss Radin passed during the first year of medical school.
Okay, this is a lie. In 2006, in 2006, a Russian Jewish girl, an Orthodox Jewish girl, called me up and asked me to be a witness against medical school personnel, against my medical school, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University. Now, this is 2006, John Scarfone, Associate General Counsel of Yeshiva University, walked into federal court in the Marlene Abramova case and tried to discredit me as a witness against the school, claiming that I failed all my classes except for Todd Olson's
Not
anatomy
true.
class.
Not true, people.
Incredibly bogus. And Michelle Escanali, the dishonest, crooked doctor in Elmhurst, Queens, and Mount Sinai Medical School, had this. All the doctors at Elmhurst Hospital had this. Everybody in Rikers Island had this. In fact, this was submitted in my criminal court case in February 2010. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office had this. The prosecutor had this, Alex Spiro. My attorney who stabbed me in the back, Michael J. Redenberg. Everybody had this document that showed that John Scarfone had a retaliatory motive against me since 2006.
Now, wait a minute. If everybody had this document, you have to explain this to the people. Lydia, how is it possible that it could have been kept on the QT for all those years?
It wasn't. I wallpapered it. They didn't care about the truth. Okay? They didn't care. The only thing they wanted to do was practice Soviet psychiatry. They wanted to use psychiatry as a political weapon. So what happened was Marlene Abramova, her dishonest mother, and her contacts in the Russian Jewish community operated through Retina Associates. And Retina Associates had a doctor or two that operated out of Mount Sinai Medical School. And that's where Dr. Canali operates out of. And Dr. Vladimir Jelnov, who threatened me and acted on his threats. But we'll get to all that later. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to clear my name in one sentence. Okay. So we have, this is happening in March 18th, 2011.
2011. Yeah.
Michelle Escanali at Mount Sinai, at Elmhurst Hospital decides to take one last swipe at me. And the best that these dishonest, crooked doctors can do is she claims I'm delusional because I think that personnel from my medical school are out to get me. Guess what they are, okay? They've had John Scarfone has had a retaliatory motive against me since 2006 at least. Mm-hmm. And he goes into federal court and he swears that I failed all my classes as a first-year medical student, except for Todd Olson's anatomy class. Okay. You know what Michelle Escanali had and everybody had in their possession? They had this. Oh, let's show the viewing audience, first of all. Let's show the viewing audience the document so they can see it for themselves. This is John Scarfone. And here we go. This is the document you looked at, and it's part of my records. These are not actually records. This is wholesale fraud at Elmhurst Hospital. You know, it's very frightening because Michelle Escanali is not a child. She's an adult woman. This is what you just read to the audience, right, Bill?
That's right.
In fact, let me make this really big,
sure.
So there's no way for anybody to miss this, okay? If you're living in Queens and Elmhurst Hospital is a hospital you go to, run. Do not walk away from these crooked doctors in your neighborhood. In fact, Dr. Olson's anatomy course is the only class Miss Radin passed during her first year of medical school. That's what you read, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what Dr. Canali had in her hands to show that, yes, medical school personnel did have a retaliatory,
agenda.
did have a retaliatory motive against me since I'm going to show New York Doctor's profile with Dr. Canale and Dr.
Okay.
Jelnov in a minute. But so Michelle S. Canale, the dishonest, crooked psychiatrist at Elmhurst Hospital, is trying to falsely label me as having the false belief that the medical school personnel is out to get me. They are. John Scarfone went down to, in 2006, he went into federal court. He lied about me. And then when I was constantly forced to contact John Scarfone and say, could you please give me the educational records that show that you lied? Now, is that a setup or what?
It sounds like it, certainly. You know, there's an old saying, if you have a persecution complex and you believe that people are out to get you, they probably are. Go ahead.
Okay, so Michelle S. Canale, the crooked doctor, says, oh, Miss Radin has the false belief that she's being persecuted by medical school personnel, right?
Yes.
And then I just showed you that in 2000, and Michelle S. Canale, let's pay attention to the timeline. Michelle S. Canale is writing this in March 18th of 2011.
2011.
Now, she has in her hands the document that we just read from 2006,
Good.
where I'm showing her and everybody in Rikers Island, and even before I was illegally convicted, yes, John Scarfone has a retaliatory motive against me since 2006. Okay, so since 2006, Associate General Counsel of Yeshiva University, John Scarfone, has had a retaliatory motive against me because he lied about me in federal court.
Right.
He has demonstrated that he's morally unfit to practice law. A law license is not a license to lie. Okay, so he is a liar.
Yes.
And every time I go to either members of my promotions committee, or I go to the chairman of departments at Montefiore, or I go to my elected officials,
Right.
they constantly, or I go to my Senator Lautenberg's office, they constantly send me back to John Scarfone. So I'm supposed to go to John Scarfone and say, listen, attorney for the school, could you please give me my educational records so that I can show that you're a great big liar and should be disbarred?
Well, that's not going to happen, people.
Okay.
Oh, there we are.
So here we go. So what does John Scarfone do?
does he do?
John Scarfone goes down to the Manhattan District Attorney's office and he presses false criminal charges against me, claiming he's annoyed that I have to go and ask him for the records to show that he's a liar.
Well, that's what I said, yes.
Okay. So what does Michelle S. Canale also have in her possession? She has this page out of my criminal trial transcript. Can you read that for us?
Which one, on top?
Right here. What's this number? No, right here.
Oh, that's it. That's 368.
Right, page 368 of my criminal trial transcript, which everybody had, and I wallpapered Rikers Island with this. And can you please read that one sentence?
Lydia Radin did not fail, her ICM class.
Well, it's his ICM.
Well, it says his, but her ICM class, right?
Well, what this is trying to say is this is a stipulation from Dr. Blau. So I'm at criminal trial a year before in 2010, and I have to subpoena Dr. Blau, who was my professor in medical school, and he stipulated, that means he agreed, that means everybody agreed. The prosecutor agreed, my attorney agreed, and the judge agreed. And can you please read this?
Another one, okay. Lydia Radin did not fail his ICM class.
Okay, so Dr. Blau was my professor, and he stipulated when I had to subpoena him at criminal trial, now, that I did not fail his ICM class. So John Scarfone lied, okay? Now, is this hard for you to understand?
It's not rocket science. It's pretty easy.
Okay. So Michelle S. Canale, who has this information in her hands, is a liar. I'm suing her for defamation. I have 6 years to sue you for fraud. This is...
Wait a minute. Now, there's no... Let's get this straight. There's no statute of limitations. Just clarify that for the people on this.
There's in my underlying civil claims, misconduct of this goes back to 2005 with Judge Patterson. Okay, I'm right now. I'm suing Michelle S. Canale for defaming me as having the false belief that medical school personnel are out to get me.
Oh, so you still got time then?
I'm suing her right now.
Okay,
And-
all right, no deadline.
And if Michelle Escanali thinks she's going to get away with fraud, I'll sue her for fraud. And guess what? This is Medicaid fraud. These are your tax dollars in action, ladies
Tax
and gentlemen.
dollars at work, people.
The city of New York has thrown fraud, waste, and abuse. They've thrown away about $250,000 of your taxes
Sure.
to do Yeshiva University's dirty work.
You know, wait a minute. Now, Lydia, this is only you. You can imagine how many times we haven't heard of that this sort of business goes on. So multiply that huge amount of revenue. lost for the
Yes, you
city.
have, because when I was at Rikers Island, I'm the one that called people, and the inmates now have to sign
you
to
go.
confirm that they're getting mental health treatment, and the doctors are not just sitting around making page after page after page
Right.
after page of fraud
That's
when
right.
they know better.
That's right.
Michelle Escanali is a doctor who has demonstrated irrefutably
Mm-hmm.
that she is morally unfit for the practice of
right.
medicine. Okay, knowingly, willfully, intentionally, maliciously,
Yes.
Dr. Michelle Escanali created fraud and defamed me. She knew what she was doing.
Okay.
She had to read 2 sentences to know that that my conviction was illegal. Okay, she is a crooked doctor in Queens, Elmhurst, Queens Hospital.
Wall of shame.
And
we go.
here we go. So what we're going to look at now is, this is New York Doctor's profile. So if you've got a crooked doctor,
Put him on the wall of shame.
this is New York Doctor's profile. So what you can do is you can go on the internet and you can type in, like I did right here, Michelle Escanali.
Okay.
And here's what you're going to discover about Michelle Escanali. Oh, so upset. Oh, can't wait to have me shut up. Yeah. Oh, wait, this should be. Oh, hello.
Ben.
Please fix that microphone.
It's Ben.
Which microphone do you want me to fix?
Feedback.
It sounds scratchy and loud. You can hardly hear
Feedback.
you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me tone it down a little. Is that better?
Wait, hold on. I can't hear because I'm on the phone. Hold on.
I can't hear because I'm on the
From
phone.
his end.
No, from your end.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay, I toned it down a little bit. This is Michelle Escanali, and what I'm showing the audience right now is that you can go to New York Doctor's profile, and you can type in the doctor's name, and what you're going to find out is, this is Michelle Escanali. This actually, New York Doctor's profile was put into place because there were so many doctors who were lying about. Residents in New York demanded that there would be a New York Doctor's profile,
There you go.
so you could find out about
Wall
your.
of shame.
And if you go here, what you're going to find out, this is Michelle Escanali, the doctor who defamed me. Let's find out where she went to medical school. Oh, guess what?
Where? Where'd she go?
She went to medical school. Oh my gosh, in Hungary.
What?
She went to. She's not even an American. And where does she operate out of? Oh, look, Beth Israel. She does psychosomatic medicine, and Mount Sinai School of Medicine, where she does psychiatry. The woman is a psychopath. What are your thoughts, Ben?
Well, I have a few thoughts.
Okay.
Number one, I want to compliment Bill on his new haircut.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
And I have a few questions. You know, I watched last week's show, your road trip show.
Mm-hmm.
And, gee, I mean, did you get a makeover or something? You look so nice. What was going on there? A nice outfit, that beige, whatever it was, and all of this.
Listen, we
And now you're wearing the jail shirt again, you know? I mean,
because I'm making a point here. I mean,
I
this.
understand the point that you're making. And I also want to speak to you about that Grassley guy. You're lucky you didn't get arrested. I saw that tape.
No, Senator Grassley. Actually, I thought I was going to get arrested,
Yeah.
but the
No,
U.S.
no,
the
you
U.S.
came-
Capitol Police. Let me cut through a lot of this. Here's the big picture, and I'm going to be putting Gilbert Polinsky's tape-recorded conversation up there. There's a point in that tape-recorded conversation with Gilbert. Gilbert Polinsky and his wife Harriet are attorneys. They're demonstrating that they're morally unfit to practice law when they draft illegal contracts. Okay, they're not stupid. They know what they're doing.
Is Evil actually her middle name, or is that just a nickname?
Who?
Harriet Polinsky.
No, the Harriet Polinsky, that's her real name. She's the landlord.
I know.
But no, that's actually her real name. She's not stupid. She knows exactly what she's doing when she's drafting leases that claim that you give up your right to a jury trial because you signed a lease.
Is that legal? Is that legal?
No, it's not legal.
Constitution.
She's they know that. Both Gilbert and Harriet Polinsky know that it's illegal when you draft a contract or a lease and you say you give up your right to counterclaims. Okay, a law degree is not a license to lie and try to fool people. And what's
Well,
really
are you kidding?
Pardon? No.
That's what it is. It's a license to lie and steal.
De facto, that's what it may have degenerated down to. But Harriet and Gilbert Polinsky know better. They're adults. They're not fooling anybody. It's sick. And it's sick when you have Michelle Escanali, who's also an adult. She knew better. Everybody at Rikers Island knew better. This is fraud.
Look at all this. Look at all this paperwork, Ben.
And when I get Gilbert, to have some insight into these people who think it's funny and it's not. When Gilbert Polinsky says things like,
I thought you settled with these people, didn't
we
you?
did. We moved on. But when Gilbert Polinsky claimed that he did an investigation on me because he was curious, that's really sick.
Yeah, but that's like you just go to Google. That's it. I mean, I'm sure he didn't hire detectives to follow.
No, what he did was he called up the Brooklyn DA, who I'm sure he contributes to his
campaign fund.
Yeah,
Way too loud.
and they generated a 5 to 6 page investigative report, and he defamed me as a convicted felon. I'm not a convicted felon.
Did he tell you what he found out in that report?
Oh, we're gonna, I'm gonna put up the tape recorded conversation. We're gonna all listen to it.
No, I remember that. I mean, did he ever send you a copy of what he got?
Pardon me?
Did he ever send you a copy of that report? I remember the phone conversation.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff on you. Yeah, look. But he was never specific about what,
I want to see. I demanded to see those. Please show me the investigative report. No, because it defames me as a convicted felon. I'm not a convicted felon. But what you hear is Gilbert Polinsky saying things like, "Oh, if she doesn't like it, do more of it." Like that's sadistic.
Well, I got off the phone a little while ago with Mrs. Povinetti, and she told me that she was disappointed that the evil Harriet wasn't in Colorado and watching that Batman movie. Gilbert and Harriet
Polinsky are adult men and women. They're not children. They know what they're doing is wrong.
They do.
You don't sign a lease and give up your right to a jury trial. You don't sign a lease and give up your right to make counterclaims. And when me and Betty Etelvina Povinetti went down to talk to Anthony Borowski at the District Attorney's Action Center, he actually tried to dupe, gaslight, deceive an 82-year-old woman into thinking she could sign away her rights by saying, "But gee, Betty agreed to it, didn't you? That's really sick.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about is how did you do that in 2007 where you got that $1,000 rent credit for the landlord harassing you? How did you manage that? I mean, that sounds like an impossible task.
No, it really wasn't. And all I did was it was in October 12th, 2007. I went into small claims court in Jersey City, and my landlords were drawing my attention to the lease because they were dragging me through these frivolous evictions. And in my lease agreement, it said that the landlords would pay for hot water. So I asked them to pay for it. And when you did the calculation, the judge gave me the credit for 5 years of paying hot water bills.
Wow.
And then she gave me an award of $1,008. And then she gave me a monthly credit of $18. And my landlords went bananas. And this is October 12th, 2007. And then about 2 weeks later, October 29th, 2007, on or about October 29th, 2007, my landlords retaliated by refusing to give me heat. So, I mean, I'm not harassing my landlords.
Just you they didn't give the heat to, or everybody else? Just you?
No, it's just me. The way the heat works in Ralph and Magda Pagnosi's apartment building, this is a 4-family unit in downtown Jersey City, is The heat is through a hot water system. So the hot water runs through the perimeter of the rooms, and you have to. And sometimes the water has gas. Air gets stuck in the valve, so you have to bleed the system,
Right.
and then start it. Well, they didn't do that. So I was asking my landlord, could you please give me heat? And every other apartment had he took care of everybody else's apartment, but he didn't take care of mine because he was retaliating against me.
Is heat included in the rent
Yeah.
with yours?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
And heat and hot water is supposed to be included. So
Yeah.
I had been paying for hot water, and if Ralph wants me to, if Ralph and Magda Pagnosi want me to look at my lease, I did, and I'm like, well, if you're taking me through these illegal evictions and you're drawing my attention to the lease, I'm going to ask for you to honor your lease, and you were supposed to pay my hot water. You haven't been, so I went and got a judgment against them. They went off the deep end. They went completely bananas, and then they went, subsequently. They went down to criminal court and made all these false criminal charges, and they told lie after lie after lie until eventually.
Summit Avenue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And until eventually their entire case against me collapsed to, and Judge Rodriguez is asking me this after 2 years of this harassment, what happened on or about October 29th, 2007? I asked my landlords for heat. This is what you put me through. And the goal of the criminal charges against me was to generate a bunch of false medical records, and that's what they did. These people are dangerous to others. Michelle S. Canale, dishonest doctor at Elmhurst Hospital, claims, you read this, right?
I did. I read it with you. Yes.
Claims that I'm delusional, that I have the false belief that medical school personnel are out to get me. They are. John Scarfone and the medical school have had a retaliatory motive against me since, John Scarfone has had a retaliatory motive against me since 2006. The medical school has had a retaliatory motive against me since 1996.
Between Scarfone and DeFazio, you got all these guineas after you. Now, what's going on?
Well, no, this is the root of my problem is my medical school, and my medical school accepted me as a token in the
Let me ask
admission.
you, the medical school thing with Yeshiva, that was the start of all of this?
Yes.
I mean, the day before this all started, you were just like an average person going through life, cheery, and then all of a sudden this Yeshiva thing hit you, and it put you into this tornado of legal turmoil for all these years.
Thank you. It's called persecution.
Seriously, though, you were just a regular person just walking down the street enjoying her life.
I was an honors graduate of Columbia University. I had offers to go to 3 medical schools. I did not have to go to the racist Orthodox Jewish school, and it's not anti-Semitic to tell the truth. They deceived me into believing that they fraudulently induced me into entering their school. They claimed they were non-denominational. They're not. They harassed me for 2 years. I am the victim of harassment. I'm not harassing the school. The school was harassing me. I can give example after example after example. They denied me access to federal work study money. They made up lies about it. I'll go through every single lie they told me. Finally, when I inhaled blood, I inhaled a patient's blood,
Sure.
and I could not access medical care, and they knew they had a big problem on their hands. Then they pulled every dirty trick in the book. She even says in these medical records, "Oh, Miss Radin doesn't have a angry outburst." I'm at this medical school for 2 years, being harassed, denied opportunity. Then my career is being destroyed. My life is being destroyed. And finally, after I inhaled, my professors take me into dangerous situations with this happened to a friend of mine too. You're dealing with people who have very life-threatening diseases. I inhaled a patient's blood, got sick, and could not access medical care without having my rights to privacy being violated by Todd Olson, a complaining witness against me. It's an overtly hostile environment.
That's right.
And they got I had a friend who was in medical school. She accidentally stabbed herself with a AIDS needle. She screamed for 3 months continuously. I don't know how she did it. She'd go to work really calm, and then she'd come home and scream for it was like
She held it in. Yeah.
they got one angry outburst out of me, and
Yeah. Now you see, this angry outburst, is justified. How can I say? I mean,
what they do? They I've seen this in work situations. This is This is how an aggressive sociopath behaves. What they'll do is they'll go like this and they'll poke you and they'll poke you and they'll poke you and they'll poke you and they'll poke you.
Absolutely.
And then sooner or later, after you've been poked enough, they're going to get an outburst.
Of
and
course.
Because you're a human being and you're going to have a reaction.
Yeah.
And then they're going to say, look, did you see that? That person's a lunatic. My attorney who was trying to help me then,
Exactly.
James Daw, was like, I've seen this before. But the really tragic part of all this is not only have they destroyed my life and they destroyed the lives of other people, but in Jersey City, they're trying so hard to demonstrate that the decreased functioning.
Yes.
Which they can't do. I mean, I have executive planning skills. I got a grant after I was illegally expelled.
Well, this is to discredit you, isn't it?
Exactly.
And is it working?
No. The only thing it's done is showing what a farce the medical education.
Cat's out of the bag, people.
How dangerous these doctors are. How dangerous Michelle S. Canale is dangerous to others. But what's really sad is that in Jersey City, I would have gotten attorney's fees for tenants too by contract. You can't unmake law by contract, but you can make law by contract.
Yes.
So
let me ask you some other things.
Sure.
Some points that I'm curious about. You know that when you said that they said that you only passed one class.
Right.
Medical. I mean, well, how many did you pass in that first year? Do you have any medical? Do you have your report card?
Of course.
Then how could they say that then?
Because they made up this lie because they were trapped in a web of lies, and what happened was. They falsified a promissory note in my second year claiming that I was a full-time student.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, well, if I paid for 2 years of medical school, can you show me 2 years worth of classes?
Absolutely.
My transcript is not a confidential document.
That's right.
And I can send in $2 and get my transcript. So
That's
I'm
right.
looking at my transcript. I'll show it on next week's show. I'll make a little note. I'm looking at my transcript, and when I did this we went up and talked to the guarantee agency. Cheryl Fisher is was the attorney up at the Higher Education Services Corporation. I'm looking at my transcript. My transcript shows 1 year's worth of classes.
Okay.
So can you please explain to me, if I'm a full-time student for 2 years and I'm paying for 2 years worth of services and 2 years worth of classes, how come I only see 1 year's worth of classes on my transcript? So they made up the story. Right. The college's attorneys were trapped in their lies, and they made up a story that said, oh, she failed all her classes as a first-year student, except for Todd Ellison's anatomy class, and then she repeated them all in her second year. It's a bloody lie.
No, this was all undocumented, you say?
No, it's all documented.
I'm saying that you
why
failed.
haven't you
Wait a
cleared
minute.
that up
Wait.
now?
What is your question, Ben?
I mean, why haven't you cleared that up by now? I mean,
Oh my goodness! How many people?
with simple paperwork, you can say, "Look, I was there 2 years. I took these classes."
Exactly, and I'm saying this, and I have the federal government today, as we speak today, the U.S. Department of Education has referred my case to a collection agency, and I'm being stalked. I'm being hounded by a collection agency to pay $60,000 for classes I never took. Is this rocket science?
No. Here's the point I'm making. Now, if somebody's saying to you, you failed all your classes for an X amount of time, can these people document that this is the case?
I said the same thing. I said, okay, if I failed these classes, show me the failed exams.
Yeah, but I would think the other way around. I would say, show me the report card saying that you passed 3 or 4.
Well, that's documentation, Ben.
That's why I'm asking.
After that first year, they didn't give you a report card.
No, you don't get a report card.
Not a report card, but something saying.
No, that's why I'm asking the school. Could you please give me my education? You want me to pay for 2 years worth of classes? Okay, show me the failed exams. Show me the show me the exams. Show me the attendance records. Show me something. They can't. They're a pack of liars. Sure. And here's the other thing. You know who my witness pool is? My witness pool is hundreds of students and thousands of professors.
Wait, so we're just saying after 2 years you have no paperwork of what courses you took or what courses you passed.
No, they don't give you anything. That's how. That
was my point. They have nothing. They have jack.
All you have is your transcript that says they're a bloody freaking pack of liars. do not have anything to do with this school. Do not go to the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University, because behind your back, they falsify financial records, they falsify educational records, they falsify medical records. They have their doctors running around. You know who knows that past ICM class? Okay, this is Introduction to Clinical Medicine.
Okay.
All right. So, my passing grades, Dr. Blau is the leader of our small group
Yes.
in Introduction to Clinical Medicine.
Sure.
He reported my passing grades to guess who? Jimmy David.
All right.
Jimmy David is co-director of ICM class.
Okay.
Jimmy David is a complaining witness against me. He's pressing criminal charges against
Yes.
me in 2009, claiming he's annoyed
He's annoyed.
because I have to go to him and say, "Excuse me, Dr. David, could you please confirm that I passed this class?"
Yeah.
So instead of confirming that I passed this class, he runs down to the Manhattan District Attorney's office and says he's annoyed because Miss Radin, his student, has to come to him and say, "Could you please confirm that I passed this class and that John Scarfone lied?"
Well, what about computers? Don't they have computer records of?
They're liars. They're
Transcripts, I
a bloody pack of liars. They're dishonest, crooked doctors. They ruin the lives of innocent people. Then, wait, it gets better.
Gets better.
You know who my witness pool is? My witness pool is every single faculty member at the school and every single decelerated student and every single. There's a 3-class rule. If you fail three classes
You're out.
in
3
medical.
strikes, you're out.
No, you're not out.
No?
What they do is there's a 3-class rule. If you fail 3 classes in medical school during your first year, they ask you to decelerate, which means you're not a full-time student
Right.
anymore. What you do is you take the same number of classes but over a longer period of time.
Okay, good,
right?
good.
So the school defines decelerated students as not full-time. If you fail 3 courses, they would never let me go. There are about 12 to 14 classes that you take
Right.
as a first-year student. I had my medical school catalog. I showed it to people at Jersey City Medical Center. I used to carry it around like a prop and say, "Here, see these people lied." I mean, it's ridiculous what they put you through. I'm like, these are the classes. In fact, I submitted all this, right, during my criminal trial to Jess Berkowitz, the public pretender, because you don't get public defenders. You get public pretenders.
Pretender.
Like
Yeah,
they
but
go
I
to.
thought they said that if their rules were that if you enrolled in the school, you're a full-time student.
No, they're liars. They're
Deceleration.
They're misconstruing the statutes because they got caught in lie after lie after.
Yeah, but wait a minute. They got away with it, right, Ben? Did
No,
they
they're not.
They didn't get away with it? Tell them.
They're not getting away with it.
Okay.
Okay, because there's an open investigation now, and they're
you.
not getting away. The first lie they told was, "Oh well, I forged the promissory note." How could I forge computer information in Albany at the Higher Education Service?
Yeah, but how can they do it though with your transcript?
Good question.
They what do you mean? How can they do it?
If you can't do it, how come that? If they can accuse you of doing it, how can they?
That's
do
right.
It? You
They
know, I don't get it.
falsify. They're
I mean, don't
supposed.
they submit what your course? If I'm sure they got to say something to the government.
How are they able
Yeah,
to
they
They're not
they submit
independent,
false.
you know.
They submit false paperwork. They do it behind your back. That's why the financial information
I
is.
don't know. I don't know. My head's ready to explode. Another thing. Remember, what about that illegible paper, that illegible recommendation? Did that thing actually stop you from going to college? Remember that illegible thing where they made it so you couldn't read it?
No, yeah, but they did that at the medical school. That the Barnard College, Marco Pagnotta, that's called evidence tampering. He really did submit a legible. The reason why that was made illegible was because the goal here is Jimmy David and the medical school created what they call an executive summary. It's not an executive summary. It's a de facto psychological profile.
Yes, but that letter didn't stop you from not going there, right? I mean, you did.
No.
Arrive at something, right?
No. What I'm trying to tell you is, I graduated from Columbia University as a February 1994 graduate, and I got my letters of recommendation. They were sent to the medical school. It never occurred to me that my medical school would refuse to give me
Of course not.
tamper with my letters of recommendation and refuse to give them to me These are data points on a line, and I needed these data points
Sure.
because what they demonstrated was that I was protecting myself from Vladimir Jelnov.
And that's just when you entered the school.
Pardon me?
That was just when you entered the school.
Right, but they keep.
So didn't that tell you that a year later they're not going to give you your transcripts, or
No,
somehow they're going to?
no. You have
already
to
just screwing around with you, and you just stepped.
No, I had no clue. I mean, I got these letters of recommendation in 1993 to 1994. I gave Columbia University had them. Columbia University reviewed them. Then Columbia University sent sent my admissions materials to the application service.
Yes.
The application service is AMCAS. So you send your materials to an application service. They review it.
Well, who ultimately got that letter in that condition?
All the schools that I applied to. So
got that letter in that condition?
No, that letter was not given in that condition. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
So who ultimately got that letter and either converted it to that condition?
My medical school, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. So in 1993, I get a good an intact letter. It's sent to Columbia University. Columbia University reviews it. I have an interview. We go over through. The application process is long and extensive. So there was my pre-med advisor who reviewed this. If that letter was not intact, they would have caught it at that checkpoint. And then, but it was intact, and then they send it to the application service. The application service reviews it.
Yes.
If there was a problem then, they would have contacted me. So the intact letter now goes to the medical schools that I'm applying to, one of which was Yeshiva University's medical school. They kept that letter, and eventually I was accepted into their school, and I enrolled in their school. They had that letter of recommendation. They tampered with that letter of recommendation at the school, okay? And they did that because they didn't want anybody to see anything that would undermine their executive summary of me, which is a de facto psychological profile.
Their credibility.
Well, they're undermining
sure.
me. And I've seen the executive profiles of other students and their de facto psychological profiles. And what happens is someone like Jimmy David, in another student's case, it actually was Jimmy David, sits down and they have to explain, the medical school has to explain why you're not graduating this program, because the attrition rate for medical school is very low. It's 1% or less for white students, and it's 3% or less for minority students. So they have to explain, and the school gets a lot of money for your training. Sure. So the school has to explain how they lost you. Why are you not a doctor? The society heavily invests in your training.
And they showed that letter that way.
And what they did is they lie. They make up this. You would not believe the executive profiles I've read of other students. They're complete fabrications. And my executive profile is also complete fabrication. So they don't.
I guess maybe these students were making donations to the school.
No, they just.
Parents.
Some seats in medical school are sold, but basically the school has to explain why you're not there anymore.
That's right.
So what they did is they lied. So the reason why they tampered with this letter of recommendation from Marco Pagnotta was because they didn't want anybody to see any information that would contradict their false psychological profile.
How did you get a copy of it?
How did I get a copy of it? There was a subpoena made in July of 2009. It wasn't until I got out of Rikers Island that I went down to the criminal court, asked for my file. I had to fight my way into the criminal court. The judge, Judge McLaughlin, tried to bar me from the building. I had to fight
Was I with you then? Was that the one you got your documents?
Yeah, I went to
Municipal court.
That was municipal court in Summit Avenue. So when I was released from Rikers, I went down to the criminal court in Manhattan, and I demanded my file. And as I went through my file, I'm like, oh my God, here are my letters of recommendation. They've been tampered with. Okay. Now I didn't tamper with them. The school tampered with them.
Was it just that one guy's letter, or was it all your?
No, I haven't. No, not all the letters were tampered with, but particularly that letter was tampered with because it states, and I quote, she would be an asset to any organization, unquote. And I'll tell you something. Andrew Lankler saw that letter when I worked for him at Kaplan Educational Centers.
No, if you worked at Kaplan, come on. I mean, how much more of a resume do you need after that? Why wouldn't they believe you?
Believe who?
And plus the school accepted you to begin with.
I was accepted.
And then all of a sudden, now somewhere down the line, they're falsifying your documents or looking to throw you out. They accepted you.
They
It'd
accept.
be different if they took your letter of recommendation, ruined it, and then mailed that over to Columbia and said, "Well, here's the letter of recommendation we got. I don't know what this is. This is the way we got it."
No, if there was a
But they
problem,
only kept it internally.
if there was a problem, see, this is if there was a problem with that letter of recommendation in 1993 to 1994, Columbia University would have brought it to my attention because they review everything, and the application service would have brought it to my attention because they
Right.
review everything, and Einstein, when they first got it and I was interviewed, would have brought it to my attention.
Right. That's why they accepted
Right.
it. Exactly.
So what they did was they took an intact letter, and later on, when I was named as a witness against the school, that's when they started to tamper with evidence. Okay, and that's not the only example of evidence tampering that I can demonstrate. And the reason why my letters of recommendation were important to me is because I was threatened by Vladimir Jelnov at Jersey City,
Yep,
right?
Jersey City.
This is Jersey City Medical Center. I mean, you're lucky they're not doing stuff, you know, we've got people at the city council are passing out flyers. You know, you're lucky. We'll get to this later because we're running
God, you
out.
better not start any trouble in the Vasios district. Otherwise, you're going to be in real trouble.
Yeah, what are they going to do to me? They almost murdered
Lay there
me.
and wait for you.
What are they
Because
going
remember, patience is a very important quality for a judge.
He's
That's
nuts.
all I have to say. That's
He's nuts. I mean, what patience for? I mean, the man doesn't even know.
No,
I
he's
mean,
waiting for you to He can sit there with patience, waiting for you to be brought in front of him someday in court.
oh, please, the man's a psychopath. I mean, he's had my falsified financial information since
We haven't
2000.
even touched on the Grassley office yet. So, you know, I mean, this is just a warm-up, and you're running out of time.
Well, when I'm trying to, when I'm
I got a bunch of questions about Grassley.
Senator, well, we'll get to him too, but what I'm trying to say here is right now what's most important to the residents of Queens, if you're a resident of Queens and you're at Elmhurst Hospital, avoid Michelle S. Canale like the plague.
Does this show go out to Queens?
Pardon me?
Does this show...
Yeah, I know I'm broadcasting in Brooklyn and Manhattan, and I'm pretty sure they probably have
If
me.
you're not in Queens, no use telling the people out in Elmhurst.
No, because I can broadcast. I can ask Public Access in Queens to broadcast this. And Michelle S. Canale also is associated, as we know, because we look from New York Doctor's profile, because we're looking at it right now, is we know that she's associated with Beth Israel Medical Center, that's in Manhattan, and we know she's associated with Mount Sinai Medical School. So, because this is on her New York Doctor's profile. You know, this Michelle S.
Does it
Canale.
say how long she was been in this country?
Well, apparently she went to, it says right here that she went to medical school in 2001 in Hungary. I mean, you know, Michelle S. Canale is dangerous. You know, this isn't funny. This is really sick.
Yeah,
Okay, she's demonstrating that she, in the practice, she lacks, she's morally unfit. Okay, she's demonstrated that she's morally unfit. She's demonstrated conduct in the practice of medicine that shows that she's morally unfit to practice medicine.
I know. Do you remember what doctors were like 30 years ago, 35 years ago? How nice. They had educations. They were smart. They spoke English that you could understand.
All right, this is sick. You know,
today,
you're a
who
psychiatrist.
the
This
hell
just
knows where
shows.
these people are coming from. I mean, they've been here 5 years and they got degrees, and I mean, who knows? I mean, you should change the name. I mean, you got crooked doctors. Now you're talking about crooked educators, crooked lawyers. You should rename this thing like everybody is crooked.
No, I should rename it as "This is what it's like to be persecuted by the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University." And one of the things that you can do to protect yourself is to independently archive your letters of recommendation.
But let's say if you could get that $60,000 thing off your back, would you still be pursuing this against the college?
I want my letter of recommendation from Marco Pagnato. From Dr. Marco Pagnato. I want my letters of recommendation. I want my complete unedited file. I want to know every lie they told. I want to see the executive summary, which is a lie. The medical school personnel went down to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and pressed false criminal charges, and the only thing that Martin Bachstein wanted was sign a contract, Lydia, wherein we'll drop all the criminal charges against you. We'll drop the psychiatric argument against you is garbage. We know it. We're going to drop everything against you. Just sign this contract, Lydia, wherein you agree that you will never see your records from the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, so Martin Bockstein could get off the hook.
What year was this?
This was in 2009 to 2010, when I was going through the farce of a criminal trial. This is how Martin Bockstein and Yeshiva University use the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to bully, intimidate, and try to, under duress.
I bet you that's the first time you ever had to write something that said that on a piece of paper.
What?
That thing about, sign this and you'll...
No, that's what this is what they wanted me to do.
I'm sure, well, I guarantee you never wrote something like that before,
We'll promise, Lydia, we'll drop all the charges against you. Just promise never to see your records at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine because it's fraud. It's wholesale fraud.
But isn't that, I would have signed that just to prove that these people, you say, isn't it illegal for you to sign something that says that you're not allowed to look at your own records?
Why would I even participate in it? The Manhattan District, you're telling me Assistant District Attorney Alex Spiro is so grossly, and his boss, Robert Morgenthau, and his boss, Cyrus Vance, are so grossly incompetent that they don't know they're persecuting an innocent person, and they're asking her to sign a contract saying she promises never to see her records at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine because they're wholesale fraud.
Besides the money that they say you have to pay.
I'm not paying it. That's crap.
I understand that. But what I'm saying, besides that, what do you need the letters of recommendation for?
Because Vladimir Jelnov at Jersey City Medical Center threatened me, and he told me, if you don't shut up, Lydia, I'm going to lie about you and claim you were delusional for the past... Let me finish. That you were delusional for the past 20 years. And what he's doing is using a propaganda technique, because I went back into Yeshiva University's history, and I showed how they've been lying about students for the last 20 years, and I showed how for the last 40 or 50 years, they've been lying, claiming they're running a non-denominational school when they're not.
Wait a minute. Now, this is a common practice with corporations. If you're suing a corporation, they want you to sign a no disclosure agreement or something, and then they drop the charges and everything's hunky-dory. But after that, you're finished. You can never file a suit again. You sign away your rights.
No,
yes, but you're signing a non-disclosure. But a corporation, you're signing a non-disclosure agreement.
Non-disclosure. Thank you. That's it.
You're signing that to keep their secret. In this case, in her case, she signed an agreement to keep her own papers secret.
I'm not signing. I'm not going to.
It's completely different than.
I'm not going to sign a contract that says my medical school could run around and tell lies about me.
No, I understand that, but but the point is, I'm forgetting my point. But the main point, my point I was making is taking the financial money out of this equation. Let's say that money thing was settled. What would you need the letters of recommendation?
Because they are
Wait, let me finish. It's not like if you get these papers, you're going to go out and start working as a job. You're going to go out and your crusade is to save the world.
No.
You can't go back to getting letters of recommendation and resumes and work at a 9-to-5 job. You got to go out there and keep plugging for these people.
No, my crusade is not to save the world. I was threatened by Vladimir Jelnov at Jersey City Medical Center. If you don't shut up, Lydia, I'm going to lie about you even more than I already have, and I'm going to say that you've been delusional for 20 years, and he made good on his threats. And those letters of recommendation, like all the other pieces of information I got, are data points on a timeline that show that it is impossible for that to be true. And I want my letters of recommendation because those are data points on a timeline that protect my life. These people knew what they were doing. Let me cut to the chase here. In Jersey City, every lie they told, every document they falsified, everything that Judge Nino Falcone, my landlords, Asaf Rosenheim, and the Jersey City prosecutor did, they knew what they were doing, and they almost murdered me. That's premeditated attempted murder. I want my letters of recommendation because they protect my life against these psychopaths. And here's what they can't live with. If I had known when I was a pre-med that to independently archive my letters of recommendation, I would not be in this war now. So I went to Colorado Springs and I talked to people on the United States Air Force campus. I talked to the pre-med advisor and I talked to Mr. Mikey Weinstein and to the pre-med advisor, and I said, you tell every single cadet that you independently archive your letters of recommendation so 25 years out and 10 years out and 12 years out and 15 years out and 20 years out and 25 years out, your medical school cannot lie about you. Would it ever have occurred to me when I was applying to medical school that these people were so criminal, that they're career criminals, they're so profoundly disturbed that they would lie, that they would tamper with my letters? Would it ever have occurred to you that a major medical school in Manhattan, I mean, this is not like Schlockville, USA, would withhold a student's letter of recommendation so these crooked doctors could lie about your past, so that John Scarfone could walk into federal court in 2006 and lie about me? It's disgusting. So this is the take-home lesson for every single pre-med. Wait, I'm not done. Every single pre-med, you independently archive your letters of recommendation to medical school and your performance evaluations while you were in medical school, because what you know with absolute certainty is that a major medical school like the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University can, will, and did falsify history, lie about a student's past, not just to steal money, but to run around behind her back and say that there's something wrong with her when she's not. And Michelle S. Canale, who had proof in her hands, continued to lie. This is not fact-based medicine. Michelle S. Canale, Vladimir Jelnov, Jersey City Medical Center are morally unfit to practice medicine, morally unfit to practice law, and have demonstrated that they're dangerous to others, and they need to be removed from the community because they almost murdered me.
Hey, wait a minute. I have a question, Ben. I have a question for Ben. Isn't there a principle involved? I mean, here that she should pursue the matter rather than just shut up.
Yeah, I'm trying to not be murdered by these psychopaths.
Is there a principle here, Ben?
I mean, I can understand if she was applying for a top job as vice president of the United States, and they said, if you don't have those letters of recommendation, forget about it. And they say, okay, I got to get those damn papers. But if she gets those papers, besides trying to satisfy that judgment thing, I mean, she gets those papers, all right, fine, you got the damn papers. We all know you're qualified. We all know you're intelligent. You know your law. So, okay, you got the... So why turn your life around for all these years and spend your time in court?
Because I'm being
really
stalked.
It's more for the principle of the thing.
It's not the principle. These people physically assaulted me.
Well, then what is the papers going to do? So what I mean...
Vladimir Jelnov is...
Then go hire somebody to go break their legs or something like that. Then you'll be even.
No, I'm not going to hire someone. You give me my property. You give me my letters of recommendation,
right, but
and I publish them all over the internet, and then never again can you run around behind my back and lie. Can you know how sick that is?
Hey, Ben, can I ask you one more question?
Yes.
This non-disclosure, isn't that a gag order? I mean, you call it what it is, call it a spade a spade. Is that what it is?
A private citizen do that. I can understand
I don't know.
For a corporation. You know, but for this, to hide your own record, that's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. So would you ever, if you were pre-med, if you're a pre-med student, in Manhattan, at Columbia, at Cornell, at NYU, at CCNY, and you need to apply, and you're going to apply to medical school, would you want to have any, in light of everything that I'm showing you, would you want to be persecuted through life like an animal till they almost murder you? Would you want to have anything to do with the Albert Einstein freak show of medicine?
Perfect show tonight.
Thank you for calling.
I just love to light you up.
You know, when I'm done, I don't think they're going to have a school. And they really do. I worked at Senator Moynihan's office, and they really, the government really has been having discussions for the past 30 years.
I'm telling you, if you put all this energy into like curing some kind of thing, sickness or something, I mean, you'd be, I mean, a real heroine. I mean, it's amazing, why you haven't gotten those damn papers yet. I mean, I don't, I'm amazed,
Would you want to have your life wasted with these people?
Yeah, but it's not getting those papers. Not going to save your life.
Yes, it will. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
What are you going to do with those papers once you get them?
Publish them on the internet, and never again am I going to listen to, you got to understand, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine claims expertise in psychiatry. What can they possibly say? They ran around behind my back for years, defaming me. Now they have to release the documents that show they're nothing but a pack of liars. And these are doctors who knowingly, willfully, intentionally, maliciously, with criminal intent, stalked a student for years and lied about her until ultimately they almost murdered her. You need to shut this place down. They're sick.
Yeah, but unless you're really going to sue them about this for money.
I am suing them.
I mean, unless you're going to expect to get real big money once you get.
Yes, I do. I expect to be compensated for the loss of my medical career, and this is how Marlene Abramova screwed up, and this is how Javon Pattier screwed up. Our medical careers are valued at between $3 and $6 million.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't found a good enough lawyer yet.
They stalk you behind your back.
You know what? Here in New York and New Jersey.
Oh, please! I went through this with Patricia Waiters. She had the same experience.
Isn't there a guy who works on contingency fees that you give him a percentage?
Of course there are, but not when your medical school is behind your back, is calling up the lawyer saying, "Oh, she's nuts. Don't take her case."
Oh, come on, they could only do that only up to a certain.
Right, and that's why I'm on public access going.
There's got to be one there's got to be one honest lawyer that.
Well, so far we got Vince Vancetti.
You're right. Vince Vancetti is